Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here, well, it's pretty simple. We take the stack of information you give us, try to cut through all the noise.
And pull out the key insights, the stuff you really need to know. Maybe add a bit of context too.
Exactly. We're your guides through the material. And today, wow, we are diving into something that really shook up the e-commerce world. We're talking about Pinduoduo.
Ah, yes. The Chinese platform that kind of came out of nowhere, it seemed, and actually managed to overtake Alibaba in user count. It's quite a story.
It really is. And the source material you shared, it really digs into why. Why was their model so disruptive when, everyone thought that market was settled?
Yeah, because think about it. Back in, say, 2015, the Chinese e-commerce scene looked sewn up. You had Alibaba, you had JD.com, did giants.
Totally dominant. So how does this newcomer not just find a foothold, but actually grow to surpass, the biggest player in terms of active users?
That's the central question, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
And the sources point towards, well, understanding a completely different market segment, a different kind of customer behavior, and building a model specifically for them.
Okay, so we're going to unpack that. We'll look at the market they targeted, the one everyone else was ignoring, their unique buying mechanics, and crucially, how they get those unbelievably low prices. All right, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So the first thing that just leaps out from the data in the material, by the end of 2020, Pinduoduo had more annual active users than Alibaba's Taobao and Tmall combined.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty stark. Pinduoduo hit 788.4 million users. Alibaba was at 779 million. That kind of user growth is just staggering.
Absolutely staggering. Now, okay, their total sales volume, the GMV, was still behind Alibaba and JD.com at that point.
True, still number 3 in GMV. But that user count, it signals a massive shift in the competitive landscape, a huge threat.
And you can see how seriously Alibaba took it, right? The material mentions they launched Taobao Tejia Ban, basically Taobao discount version.
A direct competitor.
And they even tried to get a WeChat mini program going, which is wild considering WeChat is owned by Tencent, their biggest rival.
That really tells you something, doesn't it? It shows Pinduoduo found a vulnerability, and Alibaba knew they had to react, even if it meant dealing with Tencent.
Especially when you remember Pinduoduo only launched in, September 2015?
Right. And back then, the thinking was Chinese e-commerce was a red ocean, totally saturated. Some even called it a Dead Sea. No room left.
Seemed like there was just no space for another big general e-commerce platform.
And yet, Pinduoduo didn't just find space. They created this enormous presence. The sources describe their model as really complex but brilliant, like solving a high-dimensional system of equations.
Not just one simple trick, then.
No, not at all. They combined elements others had overlooked: market segments, technology features, social behaviors in a totally new way.
And in doing that, they basically pioneered, or at least popularized, a bunch of concepts we now associate with Chinese tech, things like.
Right, like the syncing market, social e-commerce, this idea of referral purchases, and using private domain traffic. Pinduoduo was central to all of that.
Okay, let's start with that first one. The syncing market. What exactly is that?
Well, traditionally, businesses in China, tech, retail, you name it, they all focused on the big, wealthy cities. Tier 1, Tier 2 cities, the urban middle class.
Makes sense on the surface. That's maybe 400 million people. Concentrated population, higher incomes, easier logistics. Seems efficient.
That was the logic, yeah. Go where the money is obvious and easy to reach. But that leaves out, well, the vast majority of the population, over 1 billion people.
Living in smaller cities, towns, rural areas.
Exactly. And this huge group was largely ignored by the big e-commerce players for a long time.
Why? What was the thinking?
The perception was basically lower purchasing power, and the logistics costs would be too high, reaching scattered customers outside the main hubs. Too expensive, not worth the trouble.
But Pinduoduo's founder, Hong Zheng, he saw it differently.
Completely differently. The material highlights his key insight. This massive overlooked population wasn't a problem, it was an opportunity. A huge, untapped blue ocean.
People who weren't really benefiting from e-commerce yet, not like city dwellers were.
Right. They were ready for the convenience, the selection, the prices. And the timing, this is crucial, the timing was perfect.
How so?
Because around 2018, smartphone adoption in this syncing market just exploded. Suddenly you had something like 400 million smartphone users there.
Which was actually more than the number of smartphone users in the major cities, around 320 million then.
Exactly. So the infrastructure, the basic connectivity was suddenly in place for this massive audience to engage with mobile e-commerce. They were ready.
Okay, so the audience is connected, but what about that perception of low purchasing power? How do you get them spending online?
Yeah, that's where the sources challenge that simple assumption. It's not quite accurate to say everyone in the sinking market has low income. The data actually shows, particularly for the middle-aged demographic, say 31 to 45 years old, their incomes are often surprisingly comparable to people in the cities.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, younger people might earn less, sure, but that core group, they have
Yeah.
disposable income. And you have to consider the context, too.
What do you mean?
Well, as the material points out, in smaller cities or rural areas, there just aren't as many places to spend money. Fewer fancy shops, fewer entertainment options.
Right, so that disposable income is kind of looking for an outlet.
Exactly. And suddenly, e-commerce presents this incredibly attractive option.
Yeah.
Wide selection, good prices.
But it wasn't just about having money. Their behavior was different, wasn't it? How they decided what to buy.
Massively different. This is key. Unlike city folks who might research online, compare prices, maybe respond to ads, the sinking market, according to the sources, relies much, much more on referral purchases.
Word of mouth, basically.
Pretty much. Think about it. Asking your friend, hey, where did you get that? Or seeing something nice at your neighbor's place and thinking, I want one too. It's all built on trust within the community. Kukomi, as they say.
And the platform that enabled all this social connection?
WeChat. Absolutely essential. It was already everywhere, used by nearly everyone. It became the natural infrastructure for this kind of social sharing and recommendation.
So the data backs this up.
Yeah, the source data is clear. People in the sinking market are heavily influenced by friend recommendations, what they see on social media, much less so by traditional ads compared to urban consumers.
Okay, so Pinduoduo understood this reliance on referrals. How did they build their model around it?
This is where their core mechanic, the social e-commerce part, comes in. It's built around joint purchases or group buying.
The pin in Pinduoduo putting together.
Exactly. You see an item you want, you can buy it at a standard price, or you can join a group or start a new group yourself. They call it kaituan. And if enough people join your group within a certain time limit, everyone gets the product at a drastically reduced price, like significantly lower.
Ah, so there's a collective benefit. But what if the group doesn't fill up?
Then typically, the purchase at that super low price doesn't happen. The incentive is strong to make the group succeed.
And for the person who starts the group, the Kaituan person.
The incentive is even bigger. The sources highlight that if you successfully recruit enough people, you might get the item for an incredibly small amount, maybe even practically free.
Okay, I see the motivation now. So people would naturally want to share the group link.
Exactly. That's the engine. To get that discount or get the item nearly free, you're highly motivated to share the group link everywhere, to your WeChat friends, your family chat groups, local community groups you're in.
And you'd probably add a personal note, right? Like, hey, I'm buying this. It looks good. Join my group.
Precisely. You become a marketer. You leverage your own social network, your own trust, which is exactly how purchasing decisions are often made in the sinking market anyway.
So Pinduoduo basically turned its users into its sales force instead of paying for expensive ads.
They tapped into this existing social dynamic. This is what they mean by leveraging private domain traffic, using those personal trusted connections for commercial reach rather than broadcasting ads to the masses. It's incredibly efficient.
Which has to be a major factor in their prices. Because the prices mentioned in the material are just mind-blowing. Earbuds for roughly 400 yen.
Which is like, what, $3 or $4 US?
Yeah, or cloth shoes for 50 yen a pair. That's less than 50 cents. How is that even possible? It can't just be cheap Chinese labor, can it?
No, it's more sophisticated than that. The sources break down a few key factors. First, yes, leveraging China's manufacturing prowess, but with a specific mindset.
Which is?
Focusing on achieving the required quality for that price point. Not necessarily the absolute highest, most over-engineered quality like, say, some traditional Japanese manufacturing might aim for, which has cost. It's about being good enough and incredibly cost-effective.
Rational cost focus for what the customer actually needs and expects at that price.
Exactly. Good enough quality, super affordable. Second big factor. The manufacture model itself is optimized.
How so?
Many sellers on Pinduoduo are basically just factories. They focus purely on manufacturing. They don't need their own brand, their own marketing department, complex distribution networks.
Pinduoduo's platform handles the customer finding part, and the users handle the marketing through sharing.
Right. All those intermediary costs, wholesalers, retailers, advertising campaigns, they're largely cut out. That saves a massive amount of money.
Huge savings, yeah. What else?
Third, the group buying model itself boosts production efficiency. Think about it. Orders come in batches. When a group successfully forms, that's one batch order for the manufacturer. One group equals one batch.
Ah, so they have much better visibility into demand.
Much better. They can forecast demand, and plan production runs way more accurately than if orders just trickled in one by one. This drastically reduces waste, unsold inventory, storage costs.
Hmm.
It's much leaner.
Makes sense. And they partner a lot with smaller businesses.
Yes, the material highlights partnerships with local, small, medium, even micro enterprises, and also directly with farmers. These businesses might be great at making one or two things very cheaply.
But they probably lack the know-how for nationwide marketing or distribution.
Exactly, their potential weakness.
Ah,
But Pinduoduo's platform takes care of that weakness, the market access, the sales channel, and it amplifies their strength-efficient, low-cost production. It's a perfect match, really.
so when you put it all together, this model, it's kind of solving problems for two different groups at the same time.
Absolutely. On one side, you have the consumers in the sinking market. They get access to e-commerce, maybe for the first time seriously, and they get goods at prices they can genuinely afford. It connects them.
Right. And on the other side.
You have these local manufacturers, SMEs, farmers.
Yeah.
They suddenly get direct access to this enormous national market through Pinduoduo, an incredibly efficient way to sell their products and grow their business without needing massive upfront investment in branding or distribution.
And does that create some kind of feedback loop?
It seems to.
Yep.
A virtuous cycle. As these local businesses sell more, they grow, they employ more people, their employees earn more money,
Which increases the overall purchasing power back in that sinking market.
leading to more people potentially using e-commerce, buying more things on platforms like Pinduoduo. It fuels itself.
So looking forward, where does this leave Pinduoduo? The sources seem pretty bullish.
Yeah, the suggestion is their growth trajectory isn't over. Not by a long shot. There's still enormous potential within that sinking market.
Even with high smartphone penetration, not everyone is using e-commerce regularly yet.
Exactly. E-commerce usage still lags behind the big cities. So there's room for Pinduoduo to deepen its penetration and get existing users to buy more categories of goods.
And the prediction in the material, they might actually surpass Alibaba and JD.com in total sales volume, that GMV number, eventually.
It's certainly suggested as a strong possibility as that sinking market continues to develop and its spending power increases.
And again, you just have to look at Alibaba's reactions launching Taobao to Jia, trying to get on WeChat as proof of how seriously they view Pinduoduo.
Definitely. It validates Pinduoduo's model. They didn't just play the existing game better, they fundamentally changed the rules by finding and serving this overlooked market.
It really boils down to that, doesn't it? Identifying a massive group nobody else was properly serving, truly understanding their needs and behaviors, and then building something just for them. And here's where it gets really interesting. They found this vibrant blue ocean where everyone else just saw a stagnant, dead sea.
So just to quickly recap the core ideas from the sources, Pinduoduo's incredible rise comes down to, well, first, seeing and understanding the potential of the vast sinking market.
Which others had dismissed.
Right. Second, brilliantly leveraging social connections and referral behavior, that word-of-mouth culture, through their social e-commerce group buying model. That's how they generated that efficient private domain traffic.
Turning users into marketers.
Precisely. And third, creating this super efficient, low-cost supply chain by connecting consumers almost directly with manufacturers, optimizing production through group buys, and really playing to the strengths of local SMEs.
So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean?
Well, I think it's a powerful lesson, isn't it? It shows that even when a market looks completely dominated, completely saturated,
You can still cause massive disruption.
yeah, if you can identify an underserved segment, truly understand their specific behaviors and needs, and then innovate a business model that connects buyers and sellers in a new, hyper-efficient way tailored just for them.
It wasn't just about tech, it was about understanding people and adapting the tech to fit their existing social fabric.
Exactly. A masterclass in finding the right fit between market, model, and technology.
You know, this whole deep dive into Pinduoduo really gets you thinking, where else might this apply? Are there other industries, other regions, maybe even here, where there are large groups of people or specific consumer behaviors that are just fundamentally misunderstood or overlooked right now?
It's a great question. What kind of tailored approach, if someone really figured it out, could unlock a similar kind of blue ocean opportunity in a space everyone else thinks is already full? Definitely something to mull over.